I've got a juicy topic for today, and it might upset some people, and that's okay. But I want to talk to the people who are frustrated with this new generation of people making money online, especially the people making money online, teaching other people how to make money online. Because I keep hearing and seeing really intelligent people with mindsets I would think otherwise, but they're saying, of course, they're making money. They're selling courses about how to make money. So, okay. Let's have an intelligent conversation about this because once you remove social media and the internet from the sentence about making the money, what you're describing is something human beings have been doing forever, which is learning valuable information, becoming competent at that information, then getting paid either to do what you learned or to teach others to do what you learn. And in this case, both. So that's it. It's just like a school teacher goes to school to learn how to become a teacher and then applies to get a job paying them to teach, or an accountant learns accounting and then becomes an accountant, or other people pay them to do their taxes. So a tradesperson is someone who learns a trade and then they practice it, and they can also take on apprentices and then teach them or do the trade to get paid. But the same is true for a consultant. They develop an expertise, they open a business, and I will gladly pay to save time and gain access to what the consultant's already figured out. Because colleges and universities already exist largely because humans are willing to pay for organized instruction, the credentials, the status. And here's something interesting, because education has always been a wide range of cost. And in America today, it's around $124,000 to attend a 4-year public institution, it can also go up to $500,000 for an Ivy League school. When you become a doctor, when you become a lawyer or a nurse like myself, we continue to pay for education to maintain our licensure and our credentials. So the investment in our training and expertise doesn't just stop there. And other nurses teach me how to be a better nurse. And so out of the 9 women I reached out that got back to me online who are all earning over 7 figures a year, they reported having spent well over $100,000 in their own knowledge and skills before they earned their first million. And it's the same concept. They were paying for education to learn skills. So wildly different professions, but this is not a new concept. Education has always had a market. And the truth is there are different institutions, different teachers, different credentials, access, experiences, outcomes, prices. And importantly, none of them guarantee the outcome for someone. You can spend $100,000 on an education and never build the career you invested in. You can earn the degree and never use it. In fact, yesterday, I saw a doctor who left medicine and runs a full-blown online business academy, making 10 times what he would have if he stayed a doctor. And now he teaches everything about mindset and the things that are required to run a business to stay mentally fit, combined with the skills of how to get paid as an entrepreneur. So does everyone that attends his academy come out a successful entrepreneur? What's success? I don't know. And I'm here to say that's normal. You can hire a personal trainer and never change your body. You can hire a business coach and never implement the same strategy they taught. Education is not the same as implementation. So learning how an oven works or reading the manual isn't going to cook a turkey for you for Thanksgiving. So information cannot transfer that personal responsibility. The student still has to do something with what they've learned. But there's another piece of this conversation that I think is much more uncomfortable. So let's go to the thing that's underneath the thing. For most of history, access to valuable education and economic opportunity came with gates. You needed status, privilege, you had to apply, you needed prerequisites, you needed the grades, you needed the reputation. You had to have the money. You might need the degree, the certification, the license, the interview, the corporation, the employer, the job, the person on the other side of the desk saying, yes, we choose you after you've applied, after it became available. So think about how deeply that idea has been programmed into us. Before you could become something, Somebody else frequently had to give you permission to enter the room. And then the internet did something extraordinary. It removed an enormous amount of those gates. Not all of them. You still need credentials to become a lawyer or a physician. You still need licenses for many professions. I get that. I agree with that. I believe you do too. There are very good reasons some gates exist. But earning money? Marketing? Selling what you already know? Building an audience? Building a vibe? Creating a digital product? An income-producing asset you make once and sell as much as you want? Writing a book? Starting a media company from your basement? Learning a new skill, how to film? Nobody has to pick you to do that. You can pick yourself. In fact, I did. And I truthfully think that is the part that makes some people so uncomfortable. Because for generations, we had a very respectable list of reasons why we couldn't do something or how hard we had to work to get it. I wasn't accepted. I don't have the degree. I don't have the right people. I didn't come from that kind of family. People don't give me that kind of opportunity. I have a different skin color. I don't live in the right city. I can't get in that room. They're privileged. I'm awkward. I don't like making eye contact. And technology removed a lot of those disadvantages. And so let's be intellectually honest about that. People absolutely start from different circumstances, and money matters. Health matters. Family responsibilities matter. Geography can matter. Access matters. Luck happens. There are real inequalities in this world. Don't get me wrong. And I've done mission work to see them firsthand and to serve in that capacity. But what technology has done is eliminate an extraordinary number of the permission structures that used to stand between a human being and an opportunity. So now you can access world-class information from a phone. You can publish a book without a publisher. You can pay to be an Amazon bestseller. You can broadcast without a television network. In fact, you can put yourself on a screen in Times Square. You don't need a newspaper to advertise. You can build an audience of raving fans without being the world's chosen music producer. So you can teach without having a teaching degree, create a business without somebody sitting across a desk deciding whether you're worthy of being the CEO. This is historically significant. And the money proves this isn't some imaginary little internet subculture. The U.S. creator advertising alone reached approximately $37 billion in 2025. It's projected to reach roughly $44 billion in 2026. So there's an entire economy here. So yes, people are learning how it works. And yes, some of the people who figure it out are turning around and teaching other people how they did it. Why wouldn't they? Groceries are freaking high priced. If I make a YouTube and people click it and I get paid, why would I not? So we have always had two kinds of economic value creators. There's the fisher and the teacher of the fishermen. The fisher catches the fish and says, give me money and I'll give you dinner. The teacher says, give me money and I'll teach you how I learned to catch dinner for myself so you can catch dinner for your family for the rest of your life. Both are legitimate exchanges. One sells the result, the other sells the knowledge. So here's the part that people forget. The teacher cannot control whether that person takes that knowledge, gets the fishing pole, and goes to fish. A university can't, a coach can't, a mentor can't, a book can't, a course can't. The information, the knowledge creates possibility. The execution is what creates the outcome. So now, before somebody deliberately misunderstands me, are there scammers in this world? Absolutely. There are people selling information they've never applied themselves. Yes. Are there people making ridiculous income promises with their products? Of course. And should we call that out? Yes. Criticize the deception. Criticize the fabricated screenshots. Criticize fake expertise. Criticize false guarantees. Criticize unethical practices. But don't confuse the bad practitioners with an illegitimate profession, because teaching somebody a monetizable skill is not the scam. We've built entire institutions around that exchange. And this is where I think the conversation stops being about those people on the internet and becomes about us, our heart. Because when another person's opportunity makes you angry, I think that's worth examining. When somebody else's success feels offensive, that's worth examining. When your immediate reaction to somebody building something you don't understand is to diminish it, mock it, or insist it isn't real, that's worth examining. Not for them, for you. Because resentment is an extraordinarily expensive emotion. The person you're angry at is going to keep building their business. They're going to keep making money. They're going to keep making their videos. They're going to keep living their life, seeing how good it can get, taking advantage of this. Meanwhile, you're the one carrying the low energy, waiting for the handout. And sometimes underneath that anger is something much more frightening, like, what if I could do it? What if some of the things I thought were walls in my life are limits that I just put on myself? What if I spent years waiting to be chosen when I could have chosen me? What if nobody was actually coming to give me permission? And what if I never needed their permission in the first place? That is uncomfortable. Because once you recognize the limiting belief is not real, it's not law, you have a choice to make. You protect the belief, or you get out here and test it. And sometimes the most terrifying discovery isn't finding out that you're trapped. It's discovering that the door was never locked. Because then you have to decide whether you're willing to walk through it. And maybe that's one of the greatest challenges of this particular moment in human history. We have access our grandparents couldn't have imagined, information they couldn't have accessed, distribution they couldn't have purchased, technology that corporations once spent millions of dollars to possess, sitting in our pockets available now. And suddenly the question isn't, will somebody give me an opportunity? When do I get that promotion? The question becomes, what am I going to do with the opportunity that's presented to me now? And that's where this becomes spiritual for me, because I believe freedom is a part of what God intended for all of us. Not freedom from responsibility. It's freedom with responsibility, freedom to create, freedom to learn, freedom to serve, freedom to teach, freedom to build, freedom to take what we've been given and decide what we're going to do with it. And maybe the greatest challenge we face today isn't becoming free. Maybe it's becoming available to receive the freedom that's always been here. Because when you realize you don't need everybody to understand you, you don't need everybody to approve you, you don't need everybody to choose you, and you don't need somebody else's success to diminish your own possibility. Something in here changes. It did for me. You become free, and then you realize maybe you always were. The internet didn't invent people selling knowledge. YouTube didn't, Instagram didn't, Facebook didn't. It didn't invent teachers. It didn't invent apprenticeships. It didn't invent entrepreneurships. It didn't invent human beings paying other human beings to shorten their learning curve or simplify their life. It removed a lot of the gates. Just like real estate was the market back then, digital products are the market now. And now every one of us has to decide what we're going to do on the other side of them. These are income-producing assets. It's the greatest journey that I've been on so far in my life.